Hi friends, this is Ravi Kanth Miriyala. Right, my classes on CA final paper number 1 financial reporting are available on an academy platform. Yeah, these are recorded as well as live, and it is 100% comprehensive and 100% English batch, wherein we discussed each and every concept of Ind AS, which will be useful to the students even after qualification for practice purpose. Also, this will be useful. Yeah, please, inform your friends about this information. And on an academy platform, comprehensive batch on GFRS also is done. 23 classes, 69 hours, entire ICA material with PY examination questions and mock test papers also are covered in this discussion. It will be very much useful for CA final GFR, that is paper number 6E. Next, for my books, that is on Ind AS made easy, our financial reporting made easy, and fast track summary book. Yes, you can order in ravikantmiriyala.com, or you can contact the given number for the books. Right, for your doubts, clarification, please join the Telegram group Ind AS discussion group RKM. Yeah, let's look at Ind AS 10, events occurring after the balance sheet date or reporting date. Yeah, events means only significant events. After the reporting date, yes, after the balance sheet date, till the board of directors approve the financial statements. Yeah, these significant events which are taking place between the balance sheet date and the board's approval date are going to be classified into two types, that is adjusting event and non-adjusting events. Remember, these events can be favorable or unfavorable. It's not like only unfavorable events are supposed to be accounted for and not the favorable. No, that's wrong concept. Both, whether it is favorable to the entity or unfavorable to the entity, it has to be considered. Yeah, as I said, these significant events are classified into two. One is adjusting events, next is non-adjusting event. Okay, if it is adjusting event, what do you do? We will be adjusting it in the last current year. Yeah, say current year financially, you are preparing the financial statements for 21-22. Then we'll go back and record it as on 31st March 2022. Yeah, sir, if it is non-adjusting, we'll record it in 2022-23 financial year. That is in the next financial year we will be recording. Okay, what is adjusting? Adjusting are these are the conditions or situations. These are the conditions or situations which are existing on the balance sheet date. So that means on the balance sheet date, it may be already an asset to me or it may be a liability to me. I mean asset in the sense where it is receivable to me or where it is payable by me. And subsequent events that is taking place after balance sheet date are giving more information or clarity about those situations or conditions which were already there on the balance sheet date. I repeat, situation that subsequent events that is after 31st March are giving more information or more clarity regarding those situations or conditions which were already lying on 31st March. Okay, right, since it is a for additional information, and as you have not completed, as you have not closed the books of account, why can't you consider it accordingly, adjust your errors? Or suppose you have recorded some provision for 100 crore, but subsequent information is giving a clarity, no, my liability was not 100, my liability was 125. Then go back and increase the provision by 25. Yeah, so that is what you can go back and record. Suppose on 31st March we did not make any provision. Why? Because there, okay, with respect to a legal case. Why? Because my lawyer told we are going to win the case. Okay, fine, but subsequently the result is against. The judgment came against the company. We ended up paying 10 crore rupees of penalty and etc. So subsequent event is telling that very clearly, it is telling that your lawyer's judgment or your judgment was wrong, which you did it on 31st March. So Since books of account are not closed, why can't you go back and correct yourself? Now make a provision as on 31st March itself. Okay, right. And if it is a non-adjusting event, yeah, non-adjusting event, and if it is significant, where the management feels that we are supposed to give information to the members of the company, you should disclose the same thing in the notes to financial statements. You should disclose the same thing in the notes to financial statements, not in the board of directors report. In accounting standard, we will say board of directors report, but in Ind AS, it is supposed to be under financial statements, notes to financial statement, when we are supposed to disclose it. Got it? Right. And there are some few exceptions. What is the few exception? Exception means exception to the above accounting. Yeah. So suppose there is an event which is purely non-adjusting. Yeah, that means it should be recorded in 2022-23 financial year. But yeah, if it is affecting the going concern assumption of the entity, subsequently something happened like COVID took place, wherein we are closing my company only, right? Under that circumstance, which is affecting the going concern assumption, even though it is purely non-adjusting event, but you should consider it as an adjusting event and prepare your balance sheet as on 31st March 2022. I repeat, prepare your balance sheet as on 31st March 2022 following NRV method. And if there is any gain or loss, book it immediately on 31st March 2022 to profit and loss. Book it in the profit and loss, right? And one more example, proposed dividend. Yeah, proposed dividend was not a liability on 31st March. Proposed dividend was not liability on 31st March, because as per there is no liability, there is no rule regulation that company has to pay dividend to the people. It is a purely non-adjusting. It is not an exception list. Purely non-adjusting. You can give information in the notes because it is obviously significant, right? And there is a small carve out. Yeah, what is the carve out? If there is any long-term borrowing, there is a long-term borrowing, and there are covenants attached to it. That is terms and conditions. As on 31st March 2022, our company did not satisfy the covenants. Okay, because I did not satisfy the covenant, the lender has a right to come and collect money from me immediately on 31st March. Yeah, lender has got the right to collect from the company immediately on 31st March. Okay, strictly speaking, I was liable to pay on that date. You are liable to pay in the sense that is a current liability. Strictly speaking, it should be presented as a current liability. But our standard Ind AS has taken a carve out. Yeah, what is that carve out? Even though it is current liability, but if the company management has approached the lender and got the permission of the waiver of this, waiver of this, what is this? He is accepting not satisfying the covenant, right? That is before board of directors approval date. If the management could get the letter from the lender, then strictly speaking it was a current liability, but considering the carve out, we will be presenting it as non-current, in the sense as if this covenant breach of covenant or breach of terms and condition did not take place, as if breach of covenants did not happen only will be accounting for. Okay, right. These are all some more summary information. Yeah, few points I can say, right? You have negotiated to purchase another company as on 31st March, but really acquisition took place in the month of June, but negotiation will not bind anybody. It is a purely non-adjusting event, but it is a non-adjusting, right? And it's non-adjusting and it is material. That's why it should be disclosed in the notes to financial statements. Yeah, you received check dated 31st March but received on 1st April. Check dated 31st March but received on 1st April. Correct? It's purely non-adjusting. Correct? When you receive the check, that day only you have the control over the check. Till the time of receipt, you don't have a control of cash. That's why it should be recorded in 22-23 but not in 21-22, even though check dated 31st March. Okay, right. You received a fresh notice after 31st March. Yeah, with respect to something. Generally, you should look at mistake happened when. Yeah, it cannot be answered so simply. Mistake happened when. Mistake happened in the 22, 20, I mean 21, 23. Then it is adjusting. No, sir, mistake happened in the next year. Then it is obviously non-adjusting. You should look at the mistake happened where, not the notice date. Okay, right. So suppose we have lost some cash. Cash theft took place when in the month of January. You found it in the month of April or June sometime before closing the books of account. Okay, then it is adjusting that actually loss of money already took place. We were not aware of it. Subsequent event is giving me information, Array boss, you lost already money. That's why it is adjusting event. Done. Any legal case pending as on 31st March? Correct. I gave an example. Subsequently, we got a judgment. It may be favorable judgment or unfavorable judgment. But subsequently, suppose example, you made a provision of 100. Subsequently, you closed the liability by paying only 75 crores. Then go back and reduce it, the provision by 25 crore. Or it is, we ended up paying 125, then increase the provision by 25. Right. If you feel this is helpful to you, please share it with your friends and as well as give a like and comment. That will be an encouragement so that I will continue doing such kind of videos as many as possible.